And the UN Security Council is still working out the wording of a resolution on the ongoing war in Gaza. The U.S., which has veto power in the council, has issues with calls for a ceasefire, as well as putting the UN in charge of inspecting trucks to ensure that they're actually carrying humanitarian goods. A vote on the Arab-sponsored resolution was first postponed on Monday and again pushed back until today. Now, State Department spokesman Matt Miller said the U.S. is still engaging constructively with other members of UN Security Council.
We have made clear that we welcome humanitarian pauses. If Hamas would begin releasing hostages again, I'm sure we could obtain a humanitarian pause, perhaps even an extended humanitarian pause that would not just see the release of hostages, but would see, I would expect again, more aid to the ability for more aid to get into Gaza and aid to move more freely around Gaza, and would deliver tremendous benefits to the civilians in Gaza.
Meanwhile, Hamas's top leader has arrived in Cairo for talks on a possible ceasefire or humanitarian pause. Both Egypt and Qatar have served as key mediators in the conflict. The two sides appear to be far apart, though, on a second agreement, with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu previously saying they would not halt military operations until Hamas is removed from Gaza. Hamas still holds more than 100 Israeli hostages. The group has been declared a terrorist organization by Canada and other Western nations.
And without the flow of aid into Gaza continues to operate at a trickling pace compared to before the October 7th attack by Hamas, with reports that some trucks are being guarded because desperate civilians have been chasing them looking for food and supplies. Humanitarian organizations are voicing their frustration because of the lack of safe spaces for Palestinians and severe shortages of shelter and supplies.
So-called safe zones are only safe when they're not only free from bombardment, but when those conditions, food, water, medicine and shelter, are met. However, under the current besieged conditions, adequate supplies for such zones are impossible. I saw this for myself. They are tiny patches of barren land, or they're street corners in neighbourhoods, or they're half-built buildings with no water, no facilities, no shelter from the cold and now the rain, and certainly no sanitation.
Israel's military says it hit over 300 terror targets over the last day in the Gaza Strip. Now, Israeli troops have raided a series of hospitals and shelters in the north, detaining men in a search for militants and expelling others taking refuge there. Nearly 20,000 Palestinians have been killed, this according to the Gaza Health Ministry, since Israel declared war on Hamas following its surprise attacks on October the 7th that killed about 1,200 people, mostly civilians.